Your clothes can make or break a sale. When we used to have meetings or do major presentations as an organization, I remember I'll go with my team, and that day when we're preparing for the presentation, we wouldn't ask ourselves what are we going to present because our presentations were the same. And in sales, we always encourage salespeople to make sure that every time they sell, they are saying the same thing, they are selling the same way. Bruce Lee says, I'm not afraid of the man that has done 1,000 kicks, I'm only afraid of the man that has done one kick 1,000 times. So we don't talk about what are we going to see when we get there. What we ask is, what are we wearing for the presentation? Because your clothes introduce you. Ladies and gentlemen, today's video I'm going to show you how to dress to win clients. My name is Iyore. I've trained thousands of salespeople across several countries, including Nigeria, Ghana, USA, UAE, Rwanda. I'm an author of several books and resources on sales, and I'm featured on a lot of media platforms to talk about successful selling. I worked on an organization. I was given a target to sell to 20 high net worth individuals, and I was able to bring in 21 high net worth individuals to the organization in a single month. I also participated in a sales competition where I won, and I was sent for the World Cup for an all-expense paid trip. I moved to another organization where I was able to double my portfolio by over 100% in just 11 months. I'm CEO for Advantage, and my specialties in Salesforce management. This means work with sales teams, with the team leads, through the team leads and CEOs to help them optimize sales results and get sales results faster and in record time. All right, so let me walk you through today's content now. Dressing to win clients. 90% of your body is covered with clothes. This means that 90% of the impression you would make on a prospect will be from what you're wearing, not what you're saying. In fact, in communication, it is said that 7% is content, 38% is tone of voice, and 55% is clothes. 55% is clothes. So what you wear changes the game. And that's why you must give priority to your appearance. Your dressing can be the reason why a prospect would say, yes, let's go ahead. Selling to the subconscious mind is not about trying to play hypnotism or some mental gimmicks to get across to the mind of the prospect. Selling to the subconscious mind is there are subliminal meanings we give to certain things. For example, if you see a lawyer who knows what he's doing, a lot of times you will see them dress a certain way, or a doctor, or a medical professional, or yes, a medical professional, or a finance person. In fact, if you even watch the movies, you see cases where somebody says, my banker is on his way, or my banker is leaving. In the movies, they portray the banker as somebody who is so fastidiously dressed with his briefcase and with his shiny shoes. Why are they doing that? Subliminally, they're passing a message across to you to let you know that when you see the banker, the guy who is doing well and making a lot of money, this is how he looks. In the same way, when you see the salesperson who is doing well, nobody wants to work with a salesperson who is struggling. That's the irony of life. When you are not doing well and having problems financially as a salesperson, if you look that way, nobody wants to do business with you. But if you come across as someone who doesn't even need money right now, you are okay. People want to give you money, want to do business with you. So your role as a salesperson, project yourself as much as possible to look like that person who doesn't need help, who doesn't need money from anybody. Work on your appearance. Now, I'm not... I know that sometimes people say things like, but I don't have a good car. The car the company has given me is not... You have something that people can see immediately. When you meet a prospect, he's not going to... I know that sometimes prospects actually follow you outside to see the car you came with, which is normal. But the point is, at least before they followed you outside, the first thing they saw was you. And it's not every prospect who follows you outside to see the car you came with. Some of them, all they saw and all they see is just you. So you want to make sure that the first thing they see, the first impression you create is lasting. And with that, they can want to trust you and do business with you. Now, there's a saying by Peter J. Daniels, an Australian billionaire. Peter J. Daniels says the only time your dressing would matter is when you're either too young or is either when you're too old is either when you're too young or too rich, please. The only time your dressing will matter is when you're too young or too rich. Now, he said that because even him at his old age was he dressing properly. He was dressing perfect at his old age. So you want to work and invest in your clothes. Don't leave dressing to chance. I had a boss several years ago who was doing so well in his role. And part of what he kept on telling us was, do not dress down on Fridays. He said, because on a Friday, the prospect doesn't know it is Friday. On a Friday, the prospect can't tell whether all he knows is that, oh, you are here to do business with me. When he sees you with your complete t-shirt, in his mind, he doesn't have the time to remember that today is Friday, therefore you're dressed like this. If he sees you in native, in his mind, doesn't have the time to remember and say to himself, okay, today is Friday, that's why you're dressing like this today. I've even heard salespeople say things like, oh, sir, you're very correct. The day a prospect saw me in native for the first time, he looked at me twice like this. Because every time I go to see him, I'm always with a suit. So, you see, sometimes your dressing can make you look differently. If you don't dress well, you look like a different person. And it is better to be overdressed than to be underdressed. Because see, if you're overdressed, at least you can dress down a little bit to suit the occasion. But if you're underdressed, you can't dress up more than that. I remember I was invited to a retreat. This was somewhere in a beachfront. And when I made inquiries about this facility, I asked, is it going to be outdoor or indoor? They said it's going to be indoor. I said, the place is fully conditioned? They said yes. On getting to the retreat, I went to my 3-piece suits. On getting to the retreat, we realized that they had issues with the ACs in the indoor hall where we're going to have the session. And they said, we're going to use the beach fronts for the session. And I was ready in my 3-piece suits. Everybody came out with their shorts, flip-flops, singlets, or flowery shirts, just have fun. I was overdressed at that point in time, but I could dress down. How? I took off my jacket, I had my waistcoat on, I folded my sleeves, and I think I even had suspenders. I took off my waistcoat, had my suspenders on, folded my sleeves, and I was able to begin the conversation with everybody. Took off my tie, able to begin my conversation with everybody. I was able to dress down to suit the conversation. I know some people say things like, okay, what about areas where, like for example, in this part of the world, Nigeria here, in the northern area, wearing suits may not be the best. You may want to wear the native attire. Fine. If you're in the northern area of Nigeria. And when you dress that way, you want to wear you want to wear the complete attire, not parts of it. Because you want to be able to get across to the subconscious mind of the prospects and help them make that buying decision. Now, dressing matters to the conversation. Why does dressing matter to the conversation? Because the moment you're talking to a prospect, he keeps looking at you. You don't want to be in front of a prospect. And one of our students, one of our clients, we're helping them revamp the dressing of their sales team. And in one of the sessions, I remember speaking to someone and I was guiding him in specific details. I said, change this, change that. When I got to his shoes, I said, you can't wear these shoes to go out for prospecting. I said, you need to go and Google how the Japanese shine shoes, Japanese shoe shining, and see how they shine their shoes and make it look glossy and shiny with water and polish. You need to learn it so that your shoes can look a lot better. And the guy said to me, he says, I'm putting 1 and 2 together right now. Because this guy is meeting a lot of HNIs. And he says sometimes when he's talking to them, he notices that they just look at him head to toe. And they look away. And later look at him again. And wait for him to finish. And they're like, all right, I'll get back to you. He said he kept on noticing that. He now realized that the reason why that was happening was because of his dressing. Because dressing matters in the conversation. Now, looking good, ladies and gentlemen, is not just about your clothes. Please also note that grooming matters as well. Grooming matters. So we're talking about how you smell, your smile, the air of confidence you ooze. Because see, if you dress nicely and you're confident, your shoulders are slouched, it will affect it to overall appearance. Now, most times when you dress properly, especially when you dress at a higher level beyond what you expect. For example, if I tell you to start dressing well, like you don't normally dress well, and the first thing you're looking at for is getting a 2-piece suit, just a jacket and the pants. Like I have a suit now, just the jacket. Imagine this wasn't worn, just the jacket, my tie, and the pants. That will be the first level you're looking at. But if you take it a notch higher beyond that, and you possibly wear a 3-piece suit like this, or a double-breasted suit, where the suit laps across each other like this, you'll find out that your confidence level will skyrocket. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I was at a training session, and I got this was a training session for entry-level students for an organization. So I tried to drive home a point, the importance of dressing, and I got somebody who was seated somewhere in the hall. I said, please come forward. I said, now, can you see the way he's standing? Okay. Can somebody give me his jacket? Somebody bought his jacket, put on his jacket on him. Can somebody give me a tie? Someone bought his tie, knotted the tie for him. When we're doing that, his shoulders got raised and he started to stand differently. I now took my pocket hanky and I put it in a suit for him. He just stood like this. I said, ladies and gentlemen, do you notice the way he's standing? Everybody said, yes! What happened? His body posture had changed. Just by what he was wearing. His confidence had improved just by what he was wearing. What are you wearing today? Hey, when you go out with prospects, what are you wearing? Give it attention. Look at people who are dressing well, people who you admire. Study your emotions. The moment you see somebody, you're like, wow, I like this person looking. Person looking good. Check. What's this person wearing? Can you dress that way? Because if you dress that way, you can create the same impression and get the same results. In the next video, I want to continue part 2 of this video. I'm going to give you 10 tips to be able to dress properly so that you can be able to start to improve your appearance and be able to have a leverage in a sales conversation. Don't be the person who, when you go and meet your prospect, they keep you at the reception for hours. For hours because you're not dressed properly. If you don't dress well, you will have problems with receptionists and with security guards, not even with the prospects themselves. If you haven't watched this video, please watch this video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe here. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.